One of my pet peeves as a psychologist is the misguided thinking that some Christians have about mental illness. That somehow if we just pray and think more positive thoughts, we'd be able to overcome our depression or anxiety. I recognize the well-meaning intention of some respected teachers of God's Word, but I also believe that in their misguided direction to us, they're doing a disservice to many people who suffer greatly by no choice of their own. And to dismiss the value of psychology in treating mental health issues, it just shows their lack of understanding of this field. Yes, there are some practices in my field that would not be biblically supported, just like there's quacks in any field. But in my opinion, good science is biblical because it's rooted in truth and in the way that God designed our bodies, minds, and emotions. And many times, we're just ill-equipped to know how to change our patterns of thought or regulate our emotions without the guidance of an expert. Just like you'd go see a mechanic if your car broke down. So it makes sense to consult an expert when you're experiencing relational, emotional, or psychological problems. Mental health problems are something that people struggle with, many people struggle with on a daily basis, from small children to adults. In fact, recent statistics from the World Health Organization named depression the second most common cause of disability worldwide after cardiovascular disease. And it's expected to become #1 in the next 10 years. Studies of religious groups reveal no evidence that the frequency of depression or anxiety varies across groups. So whatever we choose to believe as Christians, mental health issues are very real, and we need to respond with care, compassion, and understanding, not judgment or condemnation. Our human natures, like Job's friends, we often look for answers in why people suffer. And in our simplistic view, we will sometimes blame the sufferer for having sinned, or we judge them for their lack of faith or discipline. But we forget that Jesus always responded with great compassion, love, and acceptance to the sufferers around him. Shouldn't we do the same as Christ followers? There's plenty of research to support the tangible physiological differences in the brain of those who suffer from depression or anxiety, which supports the notion that sufferers are not just lacking faith, but there's something very real going on in their brains. And for those people who've experienced abuse or trauma, especially as children, there's very clear evidence that their brain wiring is actually impacted, which influences their ability to handle their emotions, interpret experiences, and attach to others in a healthy way. Without steps taken to process through their trauma or abuse, many people will remain locked into unhealthy patterns, no matter how often they pray or read their Bible. Hasn't their suffering been enough without layering the rejection or judgment of their brothers and sisters who are supposed to love and help carry those who are suffering? Aren't we commanded by Jesus to love the least of these? And if you are a sufferer of mental illness, don't let how others treat you define your worth. All of us need to root our value and worth in how God sees us as his children, as holy and blameless because of Jesus in us, as beloved and worth dying for, as treasured beyond measure. This truth is what really defines you. Your diagnosis is something that you suffer this side of heaven, but it isn't who you are. As you have a settled confidence in how your Father sees you, then you're going to be more resilient to handle the human responses, good or bad. And I suspect that many of you will have a wonderful capacity to show compassion to others who are struggling as well because of your own experiences. Please, let that be an aspect of your truth and be a part of the revolution we need to change how we respond to mental health issues. I'm Dr. Merry.